Welcome to Stop Overthinking, the podcast for overthinkers, people pleasers, and perfectionists who want to feel calm and confident enough to handle whatever life sends your way. I'm your host, Kristen Odegaard, a women's life and mindset coach, lifelong educator, and recovering perfectionist. Welcome back to the Stop Overthinking podcast. This is episode 25, Learning to Trust Yourself. This is another one of those topics that comes up fairly frequently with clients, women I talk to, and even with myself. And since you're listening to this podcast titled Stop Overthinking, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you have a lot of internal chatter going on yourself. And if you are like most women that I speak with, a lot of that chatter is negative. It's full of doubt, guilt, fear of disappointing others, and maybe fear of failing yourself. Here's what I have come to learn. Women who beat themselves up, who are full of negative self-talk, have no place that's truly safe. Because if you aren't safe with your own internal world in your body, you aren't safe anywhere. And if you are bullying yourself, then there's nowhere safe. And the price of not having that internal safety with yourself is huge because it is a basic core need of all humans. What I've also learned is that women who can be their own safe place by having her own back, that woman has more options than a woman who has not yet learned how to do that. So, is this you? Notice that internal chatter. And what does it sound like? Is it something like, you always do this. What's the matter with you? Why can't you get this right? Those are accusations. They aren't even questions. And it creates a spiral of shame, guilt, self-disgust that takes hours of your time and your mental headspace and your energy. So the first thing is to notice what your internal chatter is like when something doesn't turn out the way that you want it to. Are you berating yourself, doubting yourself, second-guessing yourself, criticizing or judging? What kind of phrases are running through your mind? Why would you even bother? You can't do that. That's too hard. You don't have time to get that done. You can't wear that unless you lose that 20 pounds. You need to identify the bullying voice for what it is. A bully, a mean girl. We are so hard on ourselves and we rarely even notice how bad that self-talk may be. For example, how would you behave if someone you loved was on the receiving end of some of those sentences? So I thought about this, like if I'm shopping with my 12-year-old daughter and she picks up a pair of jeans and looks at them, and if somebody would walk up to her and say, "Are you kidding? You can't wear those." What would people think? Haven't you figured out by now that your body would look ridiculous in that style? I would be in there in full-on growly, protective mama bear mode. There's no way I would allow someone to speak my child that way. But I do it to myself fairly often. I'm getting better though. Another example that you can imagine to try and identify what that internal chatter is like is imagine yourself as like a 5, 6, or 7-year-old child trying to learn a new skill. And if somebody came up to that child and said, "Just give up. You're obviously taking too long and trying too hard. You don't have what it takes." You wouldn't allow that to that child. But as an adult, we've often internalized this. And what can make this so sneaky is that we speak to ourselves in our own voice, right? It's the same voice that's always there, so it just blends in. It's familiar. It's not this deep, sinister, evil-sounding voice that's noticeably different. So one of the first things to do is to catch yourself when you're being a bully or being that mean girl. And then once you notice What those phrases are, I'm going to offer you 2 different ways to engage with this inner mean girl. One way to engage with the bully is the hard pass. And this is just saying no firmly. When you hear that bullying voice start up, you say, no, we're not going there. No one speaks to me that way, not even me. And then you move your body, like shake your arms, roll your head, and then, on your neck and shoulders, maybe walk around. Or you hear some of that negative internal chatter and you say, no, 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 no. I'm not going to engage today. And then you move. The movement helps you reset. You may even want to imagine this happening to a child or the small version of you, but you don't have to. Okay? So the hard pass is one way. Another option is loving engagement. This is the opposite. So essentially you can take a deep breath and it's like, oh, here's that voice again. This makes sense that I'm saying it. I've done it for a really long time and it's familiar, but I'm not going to do it today. And then you get up and you move your body. Both of these, the loving engagement or the hard pass, have essentially the same sort of method and result. You're cutting off the behavior. There might be times when you need that powerful and firm voice, and other times when you need the compassionate voice. And you can just practice and use whatever feels better in the moment. Here's why this is important. When there is a behavior that you want to change and you're being mean to yourself, all of the energy and effort gets sucked up by the criticism, the blame, the shame, the guilt, or whatever negativity is coming up, rather than actually solving the problem. When you can cut off the mean girl, then you can look at the behavior or the thing that happened and ask questions. Like, is there something here I want to change? Should I be doing this differently? Maybe there's a change I want to make. But it's not about you and your character. It's about looking intentionally at the situation or the issue. And when you are able to shut down and quiet that inner mean voice, it allows you to handle new things. Put yourself out there. Because then all you are feeling is about what you're doing and that experience. And it's not about beating yourself up and having to deal with the mental and emotional aspects of beating yourself up. This allows you to make decisions more quickly and confidently because you know you can handle your thoughts and your feelings, whatever they may be. So another way to build that trust in yourself is first identifying that inner mean chatter, the bullying behavior that you have yourself, and then the action part to start building little places where you have built trust in yourself. One of the ways that I like to do this is making decisions ahead of time. And you can start so small with this as you're building that self-trust. So you can make a decision that tomorrow I'm going to clean out the junk drawer or make that phone call I've been putting off, or I'm not going to drink alcohol this weekend, or I'm not going to drink coffee today. You decide the day before. You decide what time and you commit to this specifically. And this is so that you don't rely on motivation when it comes time to do it, but on commitment and dedication to yourself. Sometimes I even like to think of this as an experiment. Like, what happens if I just do it this way? And then when you do the task, have the conversation, avoid the alcohol, whatever, you just notice how it went. How did you feel? Is it relief that it's over? Is it pride that you followed through? Is it frustration that you put it off for so long? Whatever it is, you just notice it. And what's happening here is that you are handling your thoughts and feelings from something that you made a decision about and you just did it. You're seeing that I can decide and I can follow through and I'm okay. And even though these are small decisions with very little impact on your life, it grows and has ripple effects so that you can make those bigger decisions, that you can trust yourself to not second guess, to not have to get everybody's opinion or to procrastinate, because you have built trust little by little in yourself. You're building trust that you can follow through, that you can handle what happens afterwards. You know that you have your own back and that you have quieted that inner mean girl and can handle what's coming. So I hope you give it a try this week. Practice identifying that negative or mean girl or bullying voice. Use the hard pass. Use the compassionate way to shut that down. And then start making some decisions ahead of time and building that trust one little bit at a time. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Stop Overthinking podcast with Kristen Odegaard. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone else who would benefit from the message. To learn more about working with me and links to social media and free resources, head over to my website, coachwithkristen.com. That's Kristen spelled Kristen. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Have a great week.